I don't. I wish them the best. I wish them all the happiness. I wish that they could let it go. I wish Kody wasn't angry. I mean, he just seems to be angry. Robyn seems to be sad. I wish they would embrace monogamy like I have. And sad, even if he says he didn't love us.
Right. Because I was just going to say, you always point out how Robyn was the only one that was really a priority.
I felt like that. I definitely felt like she was the priority and stuff. So yeah, and I think that he really honestly just loved her the most.
Hi friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Christine Brown Woolley sat down with Entertainment Tonight. It looks like this interview must have taken place last week because she's currently in Barcelona on her honeymoon. When I saw her photos on Instagram, I was so jealous. I actually studied in Spain when I was in college, my junior year, and I spent a weekend or like a week in Barcelona, and that was by far my favorite city in all of Spain. If you ever get to Spain, Barcelona is amazing. But Christine sat down with Entertainment Tonight and spoke very candidly, much more candidly than she does when she's on set or doing interviews with Janelle. So I just shared with you an interview that Janelle did independently with Kate Casey, and I spoke to Heather McDonald. Janelle's interview with her will be live tomorrow on Juicy Scoop. So if you want to check out Janelle's next interview, she'll be on Juicy Scoop tomorrow. But Christine sat down with Entertainment Tonight, and I think what I've noticed here, and this is just me and my observation, is that Janelle said that she still believes in her faith and still has a testimony of polygamy, believing that she needs to live polygamy to fulfill the gospel, to reach the celestial kingdom, and to fulfill like the fullness of the gospel. When someone comes from this cult, that testimony means that they buy into much of the faith and the rules around that faith. And one of those is that you protect polygamy. When it comes to Christine, she doesn't believe in it at all. She doesn't believe in the faith. She doesn't believe in the faith she came from. She doesn't believe in the LDS church. She doesn't believe in Joseph Smith as a prophet. She doesn't buy into the dogma. And by disconnecting from that dogma, she's able to walk away and see things a lot more clearly and deconstruct more effectively. I do think that a lot of what Janelle is doing is still clouded by her indoctrination and her belief system that has taught her how to gaslight even herself. Something that Christine talked about in this interview had to do with her relationship with Robyn. This is something that I've talked about on this platform before, about how women in polygamy use different strategies in order to survive. And one tactic they can do, and one tactic that cult leaders will do with their followers, is use other people to get information about other people. So they have other people do their bidding. They have other people do check in with people. They send people to have conversations. They use other people to send messages, or they manipulate people to go have conversations with someone and then they have them come back and tell them what happened. And Janelle alluded to this on the most recent episode where she said that Robyn ran to Kody and told on her. And Robyn decided early on that she was going to be Kody's interpreter. She spoke Kody. That phrase actually came from Christine. When Christine was in the very first season, she said, I spoke a little bit of Janelle and I spoke a little bit of Mary, and I spoke enough of both of them so that we could come together and work together. And that's where Robyn's idea is, I speak Kody, because she's always been competing with Christine. So what Robyn did was she utilized relationships in order to gain information from people to then run to Kody to tattle and use it to get her needs met. And she could frame these conversations in whatever way she wanted. And Christine actually speaks about this for the very first time. Check it out.
And I'm always going to be real. And she's not someone that I'm going to be friends with. I'll be cordial.
Why?
I just don't need to have people in my life that I don't trust. There's just too many times where she betrayed my trust. I'd tell her a secret, and then Kody would get mad at me about what I told her.
In confidence.
Yeah, in confidence. And I'm like, I don't need that. No,
And is
no
that trust not repairable?
No, not when it goes that far.
I would challenge people that are interested in looking at the dynamics in this family and analyzing how Robyn crafted her skills. You should go all the way back to the very first season, and you can watch how she watches and observes what other people are doing. Very often, when they are in group settings, she is carefully watching what people say and don't say. She is watching their reactions. She is watching their mannerisms. She's watching Kody's reaction, and she's looking to see what works and what doesn't work. Very early on, what she did was she knew that Mary was the top wife, and she took a lot of Mary's traits and applied them to herself. Mary very much used her emotions and tears to often get through various scenes to get what she wanted, to try to diffuse situations. And even though I'm sure Mary had pain, I noticed that in the very early seasons, Mary used tears a lot. And I noticed over time that Robyn used tears a lot. Now, Robyn does cry a lot, but so does Mary. I also noticed that Robyn very much wanted Mary's position as the top wife. And so, in order to get there, I think she crafted a personality around herself that would get her there. And one thing that she knew she needed to do was to gain favor with Kody. And Kody was very clear in the very early seasons. The one thing that he valued the most about Mary was loyalty. And that loyalty and commitment to the family was what was most important to him. And so Robyn decided she was going to be loyal and obedient like Mary. And what that meant was that she would be loyal and obedient to Kody, and then everyone else was an opportunity for her to get more, to get closer to Kody, to get the resources that she wanted, to get the money that she needed, the fame that she sought, and to be closer to the God she thought that Kody was. Robyn very skillfully went into the situation and was able to manipulate the women in very different ways. And one of those ways was that she told everyone that she knew how to communicate very well. Robyn is actually a terrible communicator, and she doesn't communicate for any other purpose than to gather information and to use that information to serve her own purposes. I don't know if Robyn is actually diagnosed as a narcissist. I don't know if she just has narcissistic tendencies. I know that Kody very clearly looks like a narcissist. Robyn sometimes to me looks narcissistic and other times doesn't. This cult itself is also very narcissistic. So, but she has this pattern of using conversations to gain information to then use the information to get what she wants. And that's exactly what covert narcissists do. They also use tears to manipulate to get out of situations. So for Christine to say, I would have conversations with Robyn and she would then go run and tell Kody and use it again, and then that would get me in trouble with Kody because I confided something into Robyn. It just kind of shows to me that Robyn had no boundaries. And Robyn would probably frame it and say, well, I just felt like that was something that Kody needed to know, something important that Kody needed to know. But remember, Robyn always said that you don't talk about Kody, you don't talk about your sister wives to Kody. She said it never got you anywhere. She's lying. Remember that she said that Kody never talked about the sister wives to him, but then she said Kody had wives that wouldn't give him the kind of sex that he wanted. And then she said, well, how is that going to help a marriage if you're not giving your husband the affection he wants? He was obviously telling Robyn, who wasn't giving it up the way he wanted. I don't know what he wanted, but he wanted something that some of these women didn't want to give. She knew, and she used this position as I'm the best communicator to manipulate. And so Christine can't trust her for that reason. And then I also think now with Christine out of the cult, she has to be super, super clear about who she's going to speak to and what information she's going to give them. And she's going to have to be pretty guarded about what she says, because even if any of them don't ascribe to a church and they're not part of a faith or they don't go to a congregation, the level of indoctrination these women have is it doesn't just wash away unless you completely abandon your belief. And Robyn says she still believes, and Janelle says she still believes. I don't know what Kody believes, but if Robyn's running and tattling to Kody, then of course, when Christine leaves, the last person she's going to confide in is Kody's wife. Christine was also confronted with some of the statements that Kody has made this season. Really horrible statements about Mary, about Janelle, about not loving any of the women, terrible comments about their marriages, being very abusive in his language, and really disrespectful to the women, to the children, everyone. And Christine made a comment about how Kody viewed his relationships and something that he always would say to her, which I've never heard any one of them admit to saying before. And this is, again, the way that Christine expresses herself is so different than the way Janelle expresses herself, which again is why I believe Christine is way more out of this mindset and disentangled from the belief system. Check this out.
It's like, shame on you. You're the reason why they didn't work. So if he'd put more effort into them, if he had done his part of it too, I think he thinks that you have to deserve to be loved. And he would always say, if you're not adorable, I can't adore you. That's ridiculous. You can't live a life like that. You can't have a marriage like that. And that's not a partnership. It's like, I don't know, that's putting somebody on a shelf and only pulling them down when you need them and then putting them back up again. That's not a marriage. And I'm glad they're gone too.
Have you ever watched any of the FLDS documentaries and you hear about what Warren Jeffs would tell the women to keep sweet, pray, obey? There's a documentary like named that, but to keep sweet. And many of the women had keep sweet on their beds, written on their beds, because women were told to be sweet, to be amiable, to be adorable, always be sweet to your priesthood. So what she is basically saying is that Kody had a belief that unless you were acting sweet and adorable and being sweet and adorable, you are undeserving of his love, which is why he would say about the women, blame me if I don't love you. And if I love you, it's your fault, would mean that it's your fault because you're being adorable, because you're being sweet, because you're catering to my every woman need. You're being sweet. You're not disobeying. You're not being disobedient. You're not breaking rules. You're not being disloyal. With loyalty being such a big part of the covenants in the AUB and obedience to the priesthood, this is inherently where polygamy is flawed and wrong and creates a very unhealthy dynamic for women. It's a reducing a woman down to her sexuality and to her continence, and as though she has no personality of her own, that she only exists to please the man. She has no other purpose but to make him happy. She has no autonomy. She has no personality. She has no goals. She has no say. And if everything about what she does is contingent upon the fact that she please him and do what's for him, he doesn't ever have to change. He doesn't have to be accountable. He doesn't have to even try to do better, because he will always have a reason to flip it back on her and say it's her fault. And this is where part of Kody's narcissism is just inherently inbred from the belief system that they're in. The women are always having to do better. And they have articles written by Owen Allred basically saying, if a man doesn't love you, it's probably because it's something you're doing. Think about how you're doing. How can you love him better? What can you change? You know, Mary would always say, you can't change another person. You can only change yourself, which was just coded language to say, if he doesn't love you, it's because it's something you're doing. That's not true. It's actually blaming the victim. So if a man doesn't have to take responsibility for his actions, and all of the women in his harem are basically told you need to just be adorable or else I won't love you, you can't bring, there's no room for safety or intimacy whatsoever in a relationship. And there's no way for a woman to feel confidence because she doesn't even know who she is. She has no identity. She is existing for him. He doesn't, and she's disposable to him, because if she doesn't do what he wants, he can just find another girl or woman to be adorable. And the woman that's most willing to be the most adorable and bend and be submissive will be his favorite. And that's, again, what Robyn learned very early is that she knew what buttons to push with Kody and how to get favor from him, what things she could do and not do to get him to notice her, and then what skills she could use to keep him happy, like sex. But Kody is the one that's fueling this. If that dynamic doesn't exist in their culture, Robyn doesn't need to be the way that she is. Robyn is responding to the culture that she's in. She's using a tactic to survive. Kody is using all of the tools of the cult to make these women feel like they must compete for him. And then the built-in insular community telling him that he doesn't have to do any better because it's their fault if he doesn't love them. I just can't imagine what it would be like to be told, if you're not adorable, you have to be adorable for me to adore you. That's just so, it's cruel. You're not allowing a woman to be a woman. You're not allowing someone to have a bad day. No person can ever always be happy. It's an impossible metric to make for anyone. A marriage is supposed to be about in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. You're supposed to be able to have someone's back in the good and the bad, to allow people to have the safety to be ugly. If we can't express ourselves, how do we have any level of intimacy? I know for me, and I'll just get real honest here, friends. I mean, just like everyone else, I have bad days. There are days when I'm at my wit's end. There are times when my husband and I do have fights. There are moments when I do yell and I regret it almost immediately. There are moments when I resort to bad behaviors and I say things I don't mean. And then I recognize I've done it and I can apologize and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And he can take that and recognize, oh crap, she had a bad day, or she's just taking this out on me. I'm just being the one that's taking the heat and she just needs to get it out and she needs to vent. It doesn't change the fact that I was not right to do that. But if you don't have a relationship and you don't have safety in your relationship and you do something like that, and you're in a relationship with Kody, he would never forgive you for that. So if you can't make a mistake and be like, man, I should not have said that. I really messed up. That was wrong. That was terrible. And you try to do better. But with Kody, he would never allow you to do that. What kind of relationship is that? You'd always be walking on eggshells. And then now think about how much of a temper tantrum he has when they actually stand up for himself and he's like, it's a knife in the kidney. There's a reason why they all just sat there for so many years looking like zombies and saying, Cody's so amazing. Cody's so awesome. He's such a good dad. Because if they don't say that, they're not adorable. It's just disgusting. The more Christine is out and the longer she's in a monogamous relationship, she's seeing things a lot more clearly. And it's been really refreshing to hear some of her interviews, especially when she's not with Janelle. I know that she loves Janelle, but their relationship is limited as much as Janelle's faith. And that's why some of their conversations are limited, because Christine will never be able to speak to Janelle honestly until that wall is broken down and Janelle leaves the faith. But as long as Janelle has that faith, there will always be a wall between the two of them because there's such a fundamental difference between what their beliefs are. So what are your thoughts about these secrets she has exposed? Robyn's the tattletale and Kody is a jerk. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Bye everyone.